All right, we are live. Me and Scott back on Wednesday. Scott's got something pretty interesting looking going on. Are you penciling for your Heavens rejects all over again?
No. Okay, so I have just gotten tired of being idle, and so I'm just drawing. I'm literally, this is kind of stream of conscious.
Uh
I
huh.
sat down and I drew this. Well, I drew it originally Monday night, and then but I didn't like it. I had trouble with the paper,
Hmm.
and because it's in Bristol board,
Yeah,
and so I thought, well, and I tried a slightly harder pencil, and I erased the whole thing. I redrew this last night, and I'm happy with it. It's a story. I don't honestly, I don't even know what's going on in the fourth panel yet.
I think that's a great way to work. Stream of
Well,
consciousness will reveal a lot.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with it. I and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I've kind of got an idea. I want to do something that can tie into the Heaven's Rejects universe.
Hmm.
So this is a character that could be in Heaven's Rejects, but this would be a bad guy,
Hmm.
and he goes in his voodoo shop and he's going to be looking for something specific. I don't know what. I don't have any dialogue. I don't have a script. I'm not doing thumbnails. Literally, all I did was get a page and draw a perspective grid on it and just kind of figure it out. You know, I want an established shot, a down shot, and kind of an over the shoulder shot. And I think this is going to be a big shot of him attacking her.
That's what I love about that working in that program I work in on the iPad. Hello, Gene Hole, I believe, some big jerk. He says hi.
Oh, hey.
Um, but that iPad, I find if I'll sit down and do my roughs with the rake tool, which you just absolutely can't draw detail with, all you
Yeah.
can do is draw shapes. I will find within those shapes something I can just directly ink. It's pretty amazing. And of course, I know that by, how I work and how my brain works, that the reason my pencils are so messy is I'm trying to make basically a big cloud of randomness that I then pick the drawing out of. Uh, and it's weird. I guess it's why I hate having to do a finished pencil drawing so much, is because I know it's going to require so much erasure and so much hopeless attempts at trying to make it neat again, because I've smudged it up so much as I
Oh,
as
yeah.
I as I explore getting to what I want to pencil. And now some people aren't like that, but man, I am. I have to have a complete web of notions on the page in pencil. Whereas here I'm working directly in ink, but I always accept the fact that I leave behind a miss as I ink, and I drew real messy, lively drawings. But also, the ink does make me maybe just a little more deliberate in a different way than pencil does.
Drawing is all mental.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
You're
yeah, and any trick that you can do to kind of trick your brain into
yeah,
letting you get the work done,
and
you
you're
know.
always tricking your brain. Uh,
Yeah, you have to.
yeah, like Scott Adams says, you want to learn something or change your world, change if you're unhappy with where you're at, you have to change your world. Now that may require doing something like going to Starbucks to write, and you may have one writing project you finished at your favorite Starbucks. You may have to change Starbucks. I mean, there's just things you have to change, maybe to get you know to get changes made. You have to say, okay, I've got to accept the fact that, well, like when I moved to Dallas, I knew I wanted changes to occur, and I
Yeah.
got them. And I just followed kind of a several linkages that went on, and they were totally random. They should have been a lot more,
Deliberate.
deliberate, thought through, but they weren't. But at least I got some randomness out of life, from following a couple of impulses to change.
I would agree with that. I at one point I went through kind of a thing, and I had grown my hair real long. I let my hair grow for a year,
Hmm.
and it was just short enough that I could make a cheesy looking ponytail.
Uh
And
huh. Thought you wanted that. Yep, I
no, no,
understand
no,
that.
no, I didn't wear a ponytail,
Okay.
that's how long it got. And I I cut my hair and I had a beard and I shaved my beard,
Yeah.
and it was just that same, and it was kind of that same thing of, I felt like I was stagnant in a lot of ways, and
Yeah. You just wanted
it was
a
just kind
change is
of a,
made. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and there was some internal changes I think that I made, but that was an outward expression of that,
Hmm.
which is always helpful. I think if you're in the mindset that you want to change something about your life or whatever. Anyway, I'm doing this as just an exercise, and I've been inspired by John Burns pencils to try and do something kind of direct and kind of in that vein, and I don't know. I mean, I'm
Well,
not John Byrne, but
I just sent you some John Byrne. You probably haven't noticed it yet,
no, no, no.
but
I saw it. I saw it.
okay.
How much they want for that? That's not my favorite series, by the way.
Oh,
Was the
I imagine not. I imagine that's the sort of thing that convinced him to say or think it through and say, I'm going back to doing X-Men. Basically,
yeah.
and I bet you there was quite a bit of like light bulbs going on in his head saying, wait a minute, I can go back and do X-Men. I'll just do originals. And, you know,
Well, that's it. So he worked on Blood of the Demon. That was some of his last DC work. It's been a few years. He did a bunch of commissions in the meantime, and then he actually retired and stopped, or didn't retire, but he stopped drawing comics for a while at all. And in fact, and he stopped doing comics, and he was doing those Star Trek books, which are basically photo novels.
oh, really? Okay.
And then yeah, he would take photograph. He would write a story, and he would take screen captures of existing stories, and he would make them work. And then occasionally he would create 3D models or shoot new footage, new shots. Generate some new material, but for the most part, it was old. The old series, and he's watched the series so much that apparently, and he must have a really good memory because apparently he knew, like, well, I think in episode whatever, there's a shot of Kirk on the bridge that I could use, and so he would do that, and then he stopped doing that, and he was doing commissions at the same time. And then at one point, for about 2 years, he stopped doing anything. He was like, yeah, nothing else has struck me. And then one day he said, he kind of challenged himself. I wonder if I could draw comics like I did, when I was doing X-Men.
Hmm.
And he did an exercise, and then it was just a splash page, and then that led to him draw. And then now he's done. He's on issue 18 right now.
Wow. Says,
If
yeah,
you,
Gene Hole says, yes, I discovered those bootleg X-Men comic pages.
yeah,
He's been doing them more than the past year, hadn't he? My mind
no,
is exploding with inspiration from that.
yeah, Ellis, and anyone that's interested in that, but Ellis, you should watch Cartoonist Kayfabe where they talk about that. I think
Hmm.
you would, because they break down his art and talk, and they talk about it
Hmm.
and the project and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's interesting to hear them talk about it. I don't know if you ever listened to Cartoonist Kayfabe.
Kayfabe is the idea of uh, prof- uh, wrestling, professional wrestling,
Right, but
putting on a show, right?
the pod, yes, the pod. Well, it's the term that wrestlers used for the business.
Ah,
This I like, it's like, well, he beat him up, but it was all kayfabe.
yeah.
That's I believe what the term means, and these guys are wrestling fans. But if you haven't listened to that podcast, you should. A lot of their episodes are really good, but that one in particular I enjoyed.
Natasha International, evening guys getting Chick-fil-A. Don't tell Doug to Naples. Did Doug decide Chick-fil-A, I guess, may have betrayed some harsh standards some people may have for being conservative. I don't know. I forget what they did. They did something that wasn't totally,
kosher, so to speak.
Yeah, that wasn't completely conservative.
I love Chick-fil-A.
Oh yeah, good food.
Who cares? I mean, I don't know. I think they did something. There was something they did. I forget what it was, but
I could watch Chinatown right now and never think about Roman Polanski molesting younger women. So
I could watch Fearless Vampire Killers and go, why am I watching this?
Why am I watching this?
What in the world?
It's interesting. You could tell the guy was trying to expand what he was up to, was reacting to what he was seeing in terms of like Benny Hill. He was probably, I imagine, most inspired by Richard Lester, who did Richard Lester did the Beatles movie Help, and he also did the Three Musketeer movies. Those two great Three Musketeer movies. He's got a great editing style, and he does it with lots of quick cuts and stuff like that. And he was considered very experimental at the time. Doing stuff. He inspired a lot of people. I think he's also the director on the first Superman. I got to check this out now. I may be giving him too many credit.
That's Richard Donner.
Richard Donner, you're right. Let me see what all Richard Lester has done. Make sure I know who the heck I'm talking about. I'm typing in a search.
Yeah, but going back to the John Byrne bootlegs, that stuff is great, man. In fact, let's see. This is how great I think that stuff is. I'm gonna show this. I don't know if you've seen this, Ellis.
Oh, let me look. I'm looking at Richard Lester's credits right now. Go ahead.
I don't know if you can see that. I have printed out all those pages on my 11x17 printer at actual size.
Look at that. You've got your own, what do you call that?
Artist edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I need to hole punch. I got 11x17 hole ring binder, believe it or not.
Wow. All right.
And I haven't put those in yet, but I've got all 17 issues.
I was halfway right. Look at that. Richard Donner did the first one. Lester did the second one.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, huh? So Lester did the one I like better. Nah, I'm kidding. The one with the assemblage of Phantom Zone characters. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of 3.
Yeah.
Or was it 4?
3?
Which was Quest for Peace?
I forget.
God.
They went south pretty quick after the 2.
Yeah, and I don't know. I haven't seen that in a while, but it doesn't strike me that I look upon that with fond memories. Let me put it that way. It's just like not any of them. It's just kind of like, I don't know if it aged that well.
Because I'm watching this Amazon Prime TV series, The Expanse. I knew that I'd seen this guy that's the lead in it somewhere, and then when I read the credit for what he'd been in, it's like, oh my gosh, he was just a little kid. When I was remembering him, he was in Sky High. You remember the guy that was the kind of the Human Torch hothead guy that you just didn't mess with?
I've never seen Sky High.
Oh my gosh, that's my favorite superhero movie.
Really? Better than Mystery Man?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, Mystery Man's pretty good, but
it's got Janine Garofalo, man. Come on.
Janine Garofalo.
and the bowler or the
waffler.
The waffler.
I don't believe he made it to the team. I think I need
to watch. I have that movie on DVD, believe it or not. I picked it up not long ago. I saw it at the theater. I mean, that's how desperate we were for superhero movies at
Oh
that
yeah.
time. It's like I'll watch anything with that came from a comic book.
What's the artist's name that
Bob
did
Burton, Bob Burton, Flaming
Bob
Carrot.
Burton? Flaming
I'm
Carrot.
I'm friends with him on Facebook.
Oh, you are cool.
Yeah, I have a the Dark Horse put some of those books out. I got one of the Flaming Carrot books, and it has some mystery in it, and it's really weird. It reminds me of like listening to Frank Zappa or something.
Yeah.
You know.
It's funny. You talk about your weird superhero movie connection. I saw another guy on The Expanse. I said, "Now I've seen him too. I got to think about this." Of course, he's the guy that was in the new version of The Tick. He plays a real bad guy, and before in The Tick, he's playing a complete idiot. So it's kind of interesting to see him stretch like that from my conception of what he can play.
What his acting abilities were.
Yeah.
So what'd you do today?
I did some things that are coming together as we speak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I know. Well, actually,
That's okay.
I wasted all my time watching The Expanse. I enjoyed that though. I'm
So
almost worked my way. I binge watched my way through an awful lot of The Expanse.
today, or
Yeah,
just in?
or
Oh
I
really?
probably watched about four of them anyway. No, I've been working on it the past couple of weeks, and just about to where I've caught up to as many as they have.
So some big jerk said they him her whatever was tempted to print those at 11 by 17, but settled for 8.5 by 11. Honestly, the resolution does not support when you print them 11 by 17, it gets pretty jagged. It's good enough to see. You can tell what John Byrne's up to.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Byrne fan. So did you get one of the bootleg printouts? Some big jerk uh, that were floating around in the Facebook group, and if you know about that, you'll know because that's what. So I'm going to show this, and Ellis has one of these. So this is the other thing I have. The printed edition. Now, one of the guys in a Facebook group that I'm in uploaded the files for these, and he did, and it's basically just the thing. Now he did volumes 1 and 2, 6 issues apiece. I made it one, and I got 1 through 12 here because I just wanted them in one thing. Uh, and this is pretty good. I don't know if he adjusted the levels on some of the pencils, so it looks pretty good. The bad thing about what I did is now I have to wait because it's only done 18, and so it's like, okay, is he going to make it to 24 to get volume 2? But I'm pretty happy with this. This gets a lot of reading. I don't know if you, I made me one and a few other people one, and I don't know if Ellis, have you looked at yours?
I have looked through it pretty extensively, but I have not started any reading. I'm reading uh, another of the guy that wrote Gates of Fire. I can't think of his name right off the top of my
Stephen
head.
Pressfield.
Yes, the guy that wrote Bagger Vance. Actually, I'd probably be
Oh
better
yeah.
off. Probably be better off reading Bagger Vance than the one I'm reading right now. It's about Amazons, Last of the Amazons, I believe it's called. But after Gates of Fire, I thought, well, I'll just go back to that period. He writes about it so well. But the deal is, it's about Amazons. It's not about
No, it's not about Greeks.
yeah, it's not about Greeks that are all willing to die for their country. And it's like, well, it's a different story now.
What are the
So,
Amazons doing?
well, the Amazon, it's a cool story. I'm going to stick it out just because I'm not as enthused about it than the Gates of Fire. He's a great writer. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
enjoying him. And it's about this Amazon that is this real rare bird that allows herself to be kind of like enslaved in return for her lover's life being saved. and not executed on the field of battle, and that's vaguely kind of like what happened.
I
But
don't think
well, go ahead.
I don't think I'm old enough to read that. That sounds
It's pretty racy here and there.
that sounds a little racy. At least it's Amazons and not Spartans, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Those Spartans did some pretty racist stuff too.
oh, I've read his book. I have Gates of Fire around here somewhere. I've read his book, The War of Art. That's how I know of. Well, no, I actually had Gates of Fire before I read War of Art, which I got through the library. But I am still reading Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, you get started on that, you can't give that up.
Yeah, it's great. I'm really enjoying it. But I mean,
Sure.
yeah, it's a commitment. But I read a few years ago for the, I don't know, third or fourth, it's the second or third time. No, it's the third time, and I want to read it again, and so I'm working on that. I don't think the rest of I do a podcast, and I don't think the rest of the podcast people are too happy with me because like, what are you reading? I'm reading Lord of the Rings again. Yeah, if you want me to talk on the podcast, I'm going to talk about Lord of the Rings for a while.
Yeah, we've got links to that. That is the what's the name of it? Go ahead, give the name of your
Better than fiction.
right. I was trying to work the word comic book into it, and that wasn't going to work.
I am
My brain knew it.
I am good memory today. Your memory is not up to par today, Ellis.
Oh, my memory's pretty wretched. Anyway, I was listening to a guy, John Woolley. I could tell we're about the exact same age. He was saying, and he slips my mind. He obviously, he has command of so much trivia about old stuff. And so when he gets on a show, you can tell it just kills him when he does exactly what I do all the time, where you go, oh man, I was just thinking of it, but now I can't think of it.
Well,
and you realize he knows from experience at this point that it's gone. He's not going to be able to he's not going to be able to retrieve it. And so he defers to somebody else to find it for him.
Yeah. No. Once you get on that, and that's a true memory thing, because once your brain gets locked into I can't find this, it's very hard to. You have to actually like engage your brain in something else, and then you'll remember.
Oh yeah, maybe that is what is going on. Maybe I'm not deteriorating as quickly as I think I am.
No, I was. It's funny you say that. I was talking to somebody this week, and we were talking about that very thing, and she said, and it is an older lady, older than both of us, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
One of my employees at work, and she was telling me that she heard this. She said, "Well, I feel good because I saw this thing on TV and said you're not losing it." It was this brain person was actually talking about this, and they said you're not losing it if you can't remember where your keys are. You're losing it if you can't remember what your keys are for.
Yeah. I said, what do I use these for? Yeah.
Yeah, and I've literally seen that in my father, because he's progressed down that road, and it's like, it's like simple. And it frustrates him because he knows he should know what it is, but it's like, it's like, well, what is this? Like,
And you know what? I think back to so many mean moments that went through my mind. You always feel like someone is almost like don't act like that, or don't be that way when they're showing this, what seems really like stupid behavior. And that's total meanness. You have to be in the mode of realizing that they aren't play acting with you. That's where they're at.
Yeah. Well,
But I got mean in my mental bearing toward my mom a couple of times by virtue of that. It's like couldn't help it. It's like, What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. Come on.
Quit setting fire to stuff in the kitchen sink. What are you doing?
Wait, was she for real setting fire at stuff in the
Yeah,
kitchen?
yeah. She
Oh
decided
God.
that was the best way to destroy documents.
Oh. Yeah.
It's like,
And she just didn't have the.
don't
That
do
didn't
that.
seem like a bad idea for whatever reason.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just like, oh my
Just
gosh, oh,
stinks the whole
don't burn.
house up. It makes you think, what is going on here?
Not to mention, you burn the house down
Yeah,
with
she might.
everybody in it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Don't set fires in your sink. That's a bad. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
That is a bad idea.
Oh, and not to mention the fact my brother's brain was going as well as his addiction problems. So he was a very fearful combo in terms of what he might be up to at any one moment.
Well, I
Very
remember.
fearful comment
I
combo.
remember that you were concerned about him. And the potential for anything, basically.
Oh yeah, he could, and thankfully, it never spread beyond him. He didn't kill anybody by running into him, which was just a horrible, uh, high odd chance that could happen because
Oh yeah.
he certainly had enough trouble with his own personal car wrecks that it was just thankfully he didn't wreck anybody else.
Oh yeah. That's yeah. Yeah. I know a guy who is a I don't know if he I don't know how you classify recovered or recovering or whatever, but he's a recovered alcoholic, and he has told me, it's a miracle that I didn't kill somebody,
Yeah.
Because he drove drunk frequently.
Well, that's
Would
the
go
thing.
to the
As far as I know, we'll have to get alcoholics to weigh in on this, but I think that is alcoholics' favorite activity. The moment they
to
get
go
loaded,
driving.
it says, "Man, I need to get in the car.
Time to hit the road.
Time to hit the road."
Oh gosh, that's unfortunate because that is one. You think about things, and really any moment could be this way. But man, you think about things that could change your life
Oh yeah,
in an
just
instant.
knock half your face off, and
Yeah. Oh,
yep,
you wind up in
y-
prison. You could wind up in prison for the rest of your life
yep,
very easily. And it might even be not your fault. It could be
yeah,
someone
exactly,
else.
yeah, yeah. He might,
Somebody
yeah.
else could run a red light and plow into you, and if you're
It,
drunk, it's your fault, man.
yeah, yeah. Try to convince somebody it wasn't your fault. Yep.
You know, yeah, but you could lose everything that you've
Yeah.
ever worked for and something like that. So yeah, don't drink and drive.
You know what I've been lately doing? I I forget what drew me to New Mexico. Where is our friend that's from New Mexico that has such a big part of comic book history that was in on the first lawsuit, funded lawsuit?
You would be referring to Mike Kennedy. I should go on
Mike
Jeopardy.
Kennedy.
I should go on Jeopardy tonight.
Yeah,
I'm pulling him
Mike
out of the
Kennedy.
air.
Yeah.
Mike Kennedy, who we interviewed recently on Better Than Fiction, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he is actually from here, and he
Yeah.
moved from here to Tulsa, and then he was in Tulsa, and then his girlfriend at the time got a job in Albuquerque, I believe, and but they broke up, and he is now in Texas.
Oh, so his redhead girlfriend
Is no more.
is available. Okay.
Yeah, hey, go for
Yeah, exactly.
it. No skin off my nose.
Yeah, I'd probably be skin off my nose if I thought I was her mental match. I tell you.
Well, she for a while she kept him in good style. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
He was able to do art, and she went off and brought home the bacon, and
Oh, really? So
yeah,
she was kind of a patron as well as
yeah, yeah,
a mate.
yeah, Yes. Yeah. Sure. I don't want to interfere in anybody
Yeah,
else's
sure. Okay,
business.
yeah, okay. Well, quit talking
No.
about that aspect of it. But
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was in New Mexico.
Yes. In Albuquerque.
Okay.
Or let's see.
It wasn't
No.
Santa
No. No.
Fe,
No.
was it?
It was no. 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 It wasn't Santa Fe. It was Albuquerque.
Okay.
Wait. Where is Breaking Bad take place? Is that Albuquerque?
Let me look. No, that's in more like Arizona.
No, it's not.
Okay, now I'm going to look. Breaking Bad. Okay, let's look at this. Breaking Bad TV series. I'll look under locations and all that stuff. Jesse. Okay. Full cast and crew. Meth. I'll sell meth. Filming and production. Yeah, let's cook. Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Son of a gun! Get me on Jeopardy, man.
Yep.
I'm on a roll tonight.
Just everywhere was shot was Albuquerque, New Mexico.
You know what's funny is my job has gotten so crazy in terms of like just demand. Just people call me up and just ask me random questions constantly all day, and I swear all that is made me sharp. I mean,
yeah.
You know,
No, that is a huge boon, is having your mind challenged. Yeah.
Oh man, it's like every day I'm on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
You know, it's and it's like, okay, how are you going to deal with this problem with these two people?
Mm-hmm,
like, okay, well, I'm gonna put them in a cage and make a fight. You know.
Yeah.
No one has agreed to that yet. I'm having trouble with this mouth. I'm not happy with it. Where's my mouth tool?
Yeah. Get a stamp.
No,
There's only so many things a mouth can do if you just have a rubber stamp ready. Hey, I saw another guy, and I saw a guy selling on Gumroad a 3D model of the Asaro head. I said, well, I used to have a model of the 3D model of the Asaro head. And
well, you know where I got this.
Yep,
you know where I got this.
Yep, that was one of my garage kits, and no telling what I did to my lungs and my insides while I was probably breathing a little too much of that resin. That stuff, you got to watch it. Make sure you got plenty of circulated air when you're using that double mixed resin.
Oh, yeah.
50-50 resin. Good stuff, though. I love it.
I'm over the sculpting department at my work now, so I have people that do that.
Yeah, oh yeah. You got to make sure that.
Oh yeah. Well, not me. I'm not the safety guy, but yeah.
They're well vented.
Oh yeah. They got.
What is it? You have to move? You have to move to that building every now and then, don't you? And look things over.
Yeah.
Does it smell like you've entered the insecticide department at Home Depot?
No, it smells like the place where I go is what they call mold making, which is technically part of my department, but I'm not their boss. But as I told them, I stick my nose a lot where it doesn't belong. So I go over there and chat with those guys and see how things are going.
Yeah, I'm sure they're up to interesting things all the time. I'm sure there's a lot of cool broken and half-finished things and rejects and stuff like that laying around? Or do they have to keep it so clean that they're always...
No, it's not like that. They don't keep it clean, unfortunately.
Okay. So there's a lot of what I'm imagining would be laying around, yeah.
If we ever get through the pandemic, you'll have to come up and see my work one day.
I'll have to check it out.
When they allow...
The deal is, you know how charming I am. I'd probably get your job just with one quick walkthrough, So.
Please, I wish.
You know that's not true.
No, I think you would think is interesting.
Yeah, I bet I would. I like the process of mold making and making a mother mold and doing all that stuff. I really enjoyed. I just tore into it. It's like nobody told you could do that, Ellis. I just did it. I went off of one guy at the old California Art Institute that I used to go to. That was Fred Fixler founded it way
Oh
back
yeah.
in the day in Thousand Oaks, and one of the guys there was our teacher's dad. And I asked him, I said, so and he worked for Mark's Toys doing models.
Oh
As a matter of fact, he did talking about the Lord of the Rings connection. He did what the Ent sculpt and mold. And so wherever there is a toy of the Ent laying out there, that this guy did it.
no, that's
And
cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool. And so I just asked him about what I needed, and he told me about this, the certain silicone I needed to go into business for it. And it's like, wow, cool. And the moment I had those materials in my mind, I just had it ordered. I used to make a lot more money back then, and it arrived in the mail, and by golly,
You were in the mold making business.
yeah, I just started at it. Yep.
God, don't say it too loud. I may need a mold maker. One guy's only working
Someday.
part time.
Yeah.
The I forgot what I was going to say. Oh,
Okay.
did you make box molds or shell molds?
Uh, let's
What
see.
did
I
would
made
you?
it in a mother mold, and it was flexible enough silicone. I got several uses out of it.
No,
What
but
is that?
no. But was this? You didn't just put the silicone on the piece, did you?
No, no, no. Well, yeah. I mean, you would try to you would put in the and I would make these the enclosures for it out of like foam core that I used a heat gun
Okay.
to seal it
Yeah.
all around the bottom, and then I would immerse the
So it's
original water.
so the mold making at my work, they do two different kinds of molds. They do a box
Okay.
mold, which is like you're talking about, but it's a wooden box. They do a wooden
Yeah,
box
yeah.
because our stuff they get a lot. I mean, you say 2 or 3 uses, ours get thousands out of it.
Oh,
Maybe,
I got lots of uses out of my miscellaneous
but
molds.
they so the box mold is in a wooden box, but then they do what they call a shell mold, a shell cast, and the shell mold it has like a fiberglass shell around it. And I still haven't figured out exactly why they do one over the other. No one can really answer that.
Well, it's isn't the one with the shell cast always too heavy that it would distort with the weight of the material?
No,
Isn't
it's the
that?
opposite. No, it's the opposite. 'Cause I
Huh.
think the bigger one they do a shell mold, and I think that's why because a box mold they make a wooden box, they fill it with silicone, and they put the wax in there, and they put silicone around it, and so
Uh-huh.
it's big. But you got to remember, we do some pieces that are 3 foot tall or 2.5 foot tall, So that I think they do a shell mold so that it isn't heavy because it's tight. They cover the piece with silicone and let it dry, and then they
Hmm.
cover it with like this some kind of fiberglass kind of stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. They paint it on until it stiffens, huh?
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure it's probably fiberglass. Um,
That's everything I know
have you
about
ever
mold
seen
making.
how they do things at a foundry where they'll have a really nice original wax
Yes.
that they
That they
just
melt.
burn away, that it's
Yeah.
gone now. You better get a good mold out of it.
We have a foundry. My company owns our Princeton plant has a foundry, but
Uh-huh.
they can only do stuff that's 8 inches tall.
Uh-huh. Okay,
But
well,
we do a lot of
limitations.
metals. We do a lot of metals like that. Metal and jewelry they can do, and they
Uh-huh.
cast it out of bronze,
Yeah.
and yeah, you're talking about lost wax casting.
Yeah.
And they put the wax. They'll make the well. We send them. What we do is we send them a mold, and they have or a die is what we call it. But it's a two-piece mold. It's cut out of aluminum, and they have a wax injection machine that shoots the waxes,
Hmm.
and then they put them in they'll tree them up. So there's a bunch of them on a thing. They'll make a sprue. They'll put them on the
Hmm.
tree, and then they'll put that in the flask and fill it with investment, and then they melt out the wax, and then they fill the flask, and they fill it with molten bronze.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or whatever material they're making out of. They do some gold casting up there, but most of it's bronze. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those things where I watch a guy that I don't know who he sends for or who sends him the stuff, but he's always separating gold from things, and goes
Oh
through a
yeah.
process on his YouTube of ending up with little gold bars and stuff like that. And it's fascinating, and you realize all of gold arriving at having a big bar of gold is always going to require so much chemistry. You're going to have to get in there and get after it with all kinds of acid and everything.
Well, if you're gonna do it that way, certainly, yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on what he's getting it from, but yeah. Michelle's uncle, he 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 was going to school to become a jeweler. I don't know if he ever got out or whatever, but last time I saw him, he lived in Colorado, and he would go up on public land, and he would pan for gold. And
Uh
he
huh.
had I went over to their house when Michelle's grandmother died. He was living in the garage. It wasn't converted. It was just in the garage, and he was like, I was talking to him, and he was telling me, "Oh yeah, I go up in the mountains and pan for gold." And he had a van, and he'd go up there and live for a couple of weeks out of his van and pan. And he had a little safe that looked like something you'd see in like a church office or something, and it was kind of
Hmm.
behind his bed in the garage. And he opened it up, and he just pulled out all this gold. I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Bullion. Man, I tell you what, you wouldn't want to have that uncle's name out here on this
Oh no! Well, he
this
doesn't.
venue because I tell you
This
what,
was
he
years
would be.
ago.
Oh, he was.
Hmm.
People would come after that. They would say, "Now,
I mean,
did
I
he
don't. I
say where
think
that guy lived?"
I think he said it was about like $14,000 worth of gold.
Yeah,
So
jeez.
it wasn't a huge amount, but it was a lot to have in your garage, in your little safe under your
Yeah,
bedroom, under your bed in your garage apartment,
yeah,
and
yeah.
probably.
That is always the big payoff. I always fast forward to when this guy puts the heat on, what looks like just dirt, and he melts it, and look at that! Look what it
Yeah.
pours into.
In New York City at the Metropolitan Museum, or I'm sorry, the Museum of Natural History, there's a hall called the Hall of Gems,
Uh
and
huh.
they had this cool movie that I always make Michelle sit through about gold, and it talks
Yeah.
about the history of gold and how it's found and how it's all that stuff. And it's probably done in the '60s. It really has that '60s look, which is part of the appeal for me, from it.
Hmm.
But uh, you know, but they're remodeling that hall last time we went up there, and so I thought, well, that movie is probably gone.
Hmm.
I recorded it one time. I think it may still be on my phone. I need to load it to my YouTube channel. Which, by the way, if anybody listening is not a subscriber to my YouTube channel, they should subscribe. I'm up to 155 subscribers.
Wow. Cool. Next
Yeah,
stop, 155,000. Yep.
yeah. Well, I need 1,000. Even though somebody told me they'll let you do live streams. I'm gonna start doing more. The problem is I've been busy. It's been
Yeah.
crazy busy for somebody not really doing anything. Well, I did my model, so I was working on that, trying to get that thing done. And then did you see my portrait I did?
Portrait. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Michelle or what?
nope, 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 nope. So a friend of mine, his sister, my friend Kevin passed away when I was a kid. This isn't very good, but I'll show you.
Oh
And
yeah.
his sister called me and said, "Would you do a portrait of her husband? Her husband passed away." So she sent me this picture, which is really blurry, and she wanted him with a butterfly and a cardinal.
Hmm.
So I did it one day. She wanted an 8.5 by 11. So anyway, I did that, and I then last week I talked to. Oh, and I've been going to my brother's house and watching James Bond movies on Thursdays. So
Cool.
yeah.
What you just recently see?
Last movie was, and we take turns picking. Last
Okay.
movie was my pick, and I picked The Spy Who Loved Me.
The
And
Spy Who Loved Me.
I wish I'd have picked. I got it mixed up with For Your Eyes Only, which is what I really wanted to watch, but that's okay. I wanted to watch it. I'd picked before. I'd picked. Let's see. Was
Who,
it From
who,
Russia with Love? No, it was. No, it was.
on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Oh,
We did watch that, but I didn't pick it. Goldfinger. I picked Goldfinger,
oh,
which is one of my favorite James Bond.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Goldfinger is peak Sean Connery.
Probably. Probably.
Sean Connery, James Bond.
Anyway,
Never got improved on.
no, I mean I like Daniel Craig okay, but he's too different. You
Yeah.
know, he doesn't feel like James Bond to me. Not. I mean, kind of, but not really. I don't know. I know Barry would disagree.
Yeah, Barry, I think he's really into the whole thing. Yeah, a couple of those, as a matter of fact, all of the Daniel Craig ones have been like, I've liked maybe half of it, the
Oh,
experience of
really?
the war. Yeah, yeah, I'm out of it pretty often when I'm watching the Daniel Craig ones. I don't know why, but they just don't.
Um.
I mean, they'll
Yeah.
have the action. The action is just top notch usually,
Sure.
and but I don't know. They usually, why? I guess it's probably because they try to give you little character moments that just don't click as much as they could. It doesn't seem like to me. It's like they aren't working hard enough at realizing these characters, like his relationship with him becoming too important. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like nah, that's not what your James Bond story should be about. Um, oh, I'm talking about character though. These expanses have got some really cool characters, but I'm all over the map on my favorites. It's like The Walking Dead. You like the guy that was if you saw any of those, the guy you liked was the guy that shot the crossbow, basically. I forget his name, but he was the cool guy. So
Oh, yeah.
they've got this one guy named Amos in the Expanse that I have to assume, I haven't done any research on it or not, but I assume he's the most popular character because he is the no BS guy. And some of the dialogue that flows out of him is just so good. It must be, and he's kind of like the Eastwood guy, where he's probably saying, he wouldn't say all that. He'd just say this one word. He's
Oh,
probably trying.
yeah.
He's probably trying to reduce his character in terms of like what might come out of his mouth. But the guy is great. I've never seen him before, and he's great at being a badass, and it's a lot of fun. So you haven't seen any of the Expanse, even though that's on Prime, huh?
I think I may have watched an episode, but I haven't watched much of it. If I did.
You know what? I never would have got started on it if I knew this about it before I started. And I'd watched all three seasons before I learned this, or the first three seasons before I learned this. It was a sci-fi channel
I knew
show
that.
for three seasons. That would have kept me from even sampling it. And it's like, because I've seen so many bad sci-fi channel shows, it's
Yeah.
like I wouldn't have given it a chance. And it's actually got spectacularly good special effects. It's just really good.
Are all the episodes on Amazon?
Yeah, yeah, every bit of it,
Oh,
because it has been taken over by Amazon for season 4 and the partial season 5 that's just now loading the way that what used to load like that. I guess most
okay. So
shows.
it's so even the sci-fi stuff is on. So
Yeah,
I can start.
the first 4 seasons are intact on it, and there are And since they're only going, I think, about 10 shows per season on the Amazon, they're already up to the seventh on the ones that are feeding every week.
Oh yeah, okay.
Mhm.
I'll check it out because I'm always looking for something good to watch. Because I usually go watch about 30, 45 minutes of television before I go to bed.
Well, I've got to admit, this kind of stuff, once it gets a little hook in you, it's like you forgive so much
Yep,
of it
yep,
that
yep.
I'm probably not giving it the
Critical
yeah,
eye that.
the critical eye maybe it deserves. There's a couple of characters I don't like. We've got a Nancy Pelosi kind of character I don't like. Haven't even go into her stuff, but they do her well. They keep her interesting, and the romantic interest for the guy, she doesn't do much for me. So I'm getting down all the main characters saying, no, they don't do much for me. But no,
Yeah,
no, it ultimately is pretty good.
gotcha.
But that's what they do really well, though. Every now and then the dialogue is so zingy. It's got a great ear for dialogue.
Speaking of zingy dialogue, my wife and I have been watching because it's on TCM this week or this month. The Thin Man movies.
Oh
I was
yeah,
she
yeah,
she really liked them. I've decided. What's his face? William Powell's my spirit animal, man.
yeah, yeah.
Those movies are great.
Great,
They're
great delivery of what's the writer's name?
Dashiell Hammett,
Dashiell Hammett,
but he only
or it may be
he
Dashiell.
no, I think it's Dashiell. I don't know. I
I'm
could
gonna look it up now.
try. You're dying to trip me up on something.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. Dashiell.
The but
Red
we
Harvest.
yeah, Red Harvest. But he wrote The Thin Man, and I think he wrote. I don't know if he wrote all the movies. We've watched the first three.
Yeah, I'll find out.
They're on In Demand on TCM In Demand this month.
Well, they're showing how to pronounce his name, but it's got so many weird looking alternate ASCII characters. I've got no idea how to pronounce it.
Well, then can we go with you wouldn't know?
Dashiell.
So
Yeah, Dashiell.
we'll go with Dashiell.
Hmm. I'm going to see if Google will pronounce it for me. Pronunciation. How do you pronounce? Oh, there we go. Part of the search. Dashiell was an Americanized spelling of an old family name and was pronounced Dashiell.
Get out of here.
Radio announcers further Americanized it to Dashiell. Most of Hammett's friends by this time simply called him Dash. When he returned to the Army during World War II, his much younger fellow soldiers called him, and then it's got an ellipse, or what do you call that with three dots? I have to find what they called him.
On the lips with three dots.
Not is that what ellipsis? I think is what you call it, where you have three periods and it means that it leads to something else. Where
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know what that is. I don't know what the technical term for that is.
well, anyway, so now you know Dashiell could be how it is pronounced. Dashiell.
Now we know that you're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know that nobody pronounces it like that.
Yeah. Which we probably could have guessed.
Yeah. Screenplays he wrote.
Yeah. He only wrote a few
Yeah.
books.
Film based on novel or short story. Now, The Glass Key was done a couple of times, and of course, you can tell is pretty much the basis for the Coen brothers' Miller's Crossing. It's just got a lot of notes from The Glass Key and Miller's Crossing.
Oh, hadn't seen it.
Never seen Miller's Crossing?
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever read. I have a kind of a treasury that has all of Hammett's stuff in it, and I don't think I've read The Glass Key.
Well, the Glass Key with
Is
the
that was
big
that one of
guy.
the Continental Op books?
Yeah, because he's playing a lot of characters again. No, it's not. It's not. Come to think of it, no.
Oh, it's not. Oh, wait a minute.
Uh,
I have read The Glass Key. I've read all those in that book. It's got the Maltese Falcon. It's got The Glass Key. It's got Red Harvest, and it's got The Thin Man. I think there's five. Is that five?
yeah, the Continental
Op.
Agent reached his peak with Red Harvest, right? I mean, he goes to an
Yeah.
island where he causes all of these guys to wipe each other out by being just a
Yeah.
little more clever than them.
Yep.
No, Glass Key is about the friendship of a guy that is a political operative. And the case of the one I'm thinking about is played by the Shane guy, Alan Ladd, and playing opposite the good old guy that was in Quatermass Experiment, the first two of them. You know, we saw the Quatermass Experiment with an actress that just died. The one we watched, we all liked it.
Yeah. I forget the name of it. Well, what was the Quartermass
20
Experience?
million years to Earth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Hammer actress, she just died a week ago.
Oh really?
And yeah, you know who I was pleased to learn was still alive because I was watching Candy and I thought, look at all these dead people. You know, it's got Richard Burt and James Coburn, John Huston, and everybody in it is dead. But
Yes.
then I saw John Aston. I said, is he dead? And I looked him up. Now he's about 91 now, but he's not dead.
Still kicking, eh?
Yep. Gomez is still kicking. 57-minute mark. How are
How
you
are
doing
we?
on what you're drawing? Look at that. That looks pretty good.
I'm
And
trucking
this
around.
is just free association, huh?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I thought about having some guy jump through the window and attack this guy, or I didn't know what I was going to do. I just wanted to do something. I got tired of not drawing comics,
Yeah.
you know, and
I need something to light my fire. I did do a couple of panels on my web comic DL and Odious the other day,
oh yeah, I
and
saw those.
it felt so good. I mean, it felt good to get back at it. But then for some reason, that was the other thing I was going to mention that I'm listening to, and I stopped listening to it. That's another motivation to get back to it because that was what I was listening to while I was working. Is the 48 Laws of Power? Have you ever heard of that?
No,
Well, it's get the audio book from the library. That's where I got it because it's got my favorite narrator anyway, the guy that did Blood Meridian, Richard Poe. And this thing's very interesting. It's like Machiavelli,
oh yeah,
but it's a kind of like a modern take on it of all the stuff that people if you want to go well armed in the world of how people are manipulative and how to fight back on your own, it's a pretty good listen. I think it's been criticized for being like, hey, we don't need jerks operating on these principles out here among us, but they are, is the point. And so at least your recognition going up on how people operate is, it's probably
they
good to know.
have. The library has two copies of it. One's by Richard Poe, and another one's by a different narrator, somebody called Don Leslie, and that one's available now. So I'm going to borrow that one.
No, borrow the Richard Poe one.
Yeah, whatever.
No, no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
wait. I'm not going to wait 12 weeks for it.
Oh man, you're shorting yourself.
That's okay. If I
Okay.
like it, you know what? I'll put the other one on hold
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
while we're
Yeah, it
at
doesn't
it.
cost you any money. Yeah,
Right.
if you like the first one, if you think the content might be something you want to listen to.
Narrators make a huge difference in
Oh yeah.
audiobooks.
Oh yeah. Yep. And this Richard Poe guy, if I could pick one guy I would like to be able to sound like, it'd probably be him. He
I
just
think
does
the
something for me.
I think oh don't do that. I think I think the one I checked out is like an abbreviated version.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want it edited down to nothing. Well, yeah, there's I think all these things come out with like summaries of
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the airplane version.
Well,
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
that might be the best way to introduce yourself to the stuff, that's in there. Yeah, yeah,
I got the other one on hold, so just settle
yeah.
down.
Okay. Yeah, too excitable.
Yeah, it's like
And
whoa,
I think that's one of the 48 laws of power is don't be excitable.
go yeah, God, deal with that all day, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
People just freak out. It's like,
yeah.
come
Freak
on,
out.
just calm down. This will, you know. Oh, I had a guy call me at I leave at 5:30, and he called me. I swear it was 5:29, and he's like, "Oh, I hate to bother you right when you're trying to get out of there." This is a guy's working at home, by the way. And
Mm,
he's like, telling me, talking about something, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, it'll,
that's what they pay me the big bucks for.
well, my job literally, I think, is to just calm people down.
Yeah,
Don't freak out about this. We're gonna get this. Just calm down."
there probably is no greater job description than being the firm hand on the tiller.
Well, I don't know if I'm on the tiller, but I'm definitely on something. But yeah, yeah, I kind of, I've decided I do like kind of being the guy that they call. Oh, they want to know how things are going. I'm the guy that they call. I kind of
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
Um,
Like having a purpose. Anyway, I mentioned New Mexico, and then we got off into talking about Kennedy there. But what was
oh
that?
yeah,
What was that lawsuit? He was involved. He was involved in an obscenity lawsuit because some kid bought one of those.
yeah.
Oh,
I wouldn't. No, no, no.
go ahead.
It was not a lawsuit. It was a trial. It was a
Oh, that's
criminal
right.
trial.
Yeah, they just went after him.
It was a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah, he was arrested. Okay, so we have a friend, a mutual friend. I've known. How long have you known him? Have you known him for a while,
Well,
Ellis?
yeah, I guess so.
Okay,
But the deal is, I didn't know I probably knew him. Yeah, go ahead.
okay. Anyway, so he used to own. He was the partner and or co-owner with him and another guy owned one of the bigger comic shops here in town, and he ran it. He was a manager there for a long time, and then he ended up buying it when the guy sold it. But him and this guy ran it, and they got arrested. Well, somebody came in the '90s, and they bought. I'm trying to think what book they bought. They bought a couple books. Basically, a kid had come in, and they would order.
Probably an old kitchen sink.
No, it wasn't. No, 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 no. It was not a kitchen sink. It was something.
Okay.
It was something more salacious
Oh, really?
than that. But they'd ordered it. Somebody wanted it, and so they ordered it. Well, because of somehow inadvertently, a copy got when it came in, it got put on the shelf, and some kid bought it, and their parent found it. So, which you never want. So then their
Yeah.
parent called the police or called somebody, and so they set up a sting, and they went in and they asked for something, and and they got and the whoever was working the counter at the time got arrested for selling. I think that it may have been a minor, but it may not have been a minor. It may have just been selling pornographic materials. And they got charged with one of the things that there was a book by who's the oh, I think it was a Richard Thorne book, or who's the guy that did ElfQuest?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I'm not
Anyway,
going to come up with
he
his
did
name.
he did some book that had like a naked elf in it or something,
Oh boy.
and because of that they charged him with child pornography, which is ridiculous in my opinion, by the way.
Yeah.
And they and then
Richard Penny.
Richard and Wendy Penny. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was Richard. It was a Richard Penny book. He did a fantasy book and had an elf in it. Not, it wasn't ElfQuest, but it was something
And this
along
was a
those
very
lines.
famous lawsuit. It was the first crowd-funded defense of somebody that
Well,
comics.
it wasn't crowdfunded because
It
there's no crowd.
wasn't.
No, there's no crowdfunding at the time.
Well, didn't they ask for funds to defend him? I thought they
Well,
did.
the Congo Legal Defense Fund did, but
Yeah. Okay. So they formed up. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Okay.
they existed already.
Okay.
But it wasn't like they went to Indiegogo or something like that. I mean, this is in the '90s before all that
Yeah.
stuff existed. But they got assistance from the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, and they did have a big convention locally to support them. And
Well, wasn't this the first case for the comic book legal defense fund? I think it
no,
was, wasn't it?
I don't think so. I don't. I
Mm,
don't
okay.
know because they anyway. But they were facing like 67 years in prison
Jeez.
potentially.
What was that guy's name? Curtis. He's the DA at that time. Curtis.
Oh, I
Doesn't
don't
that
know the
sound
D.
familiar?
I don't know the DA's name.
Yeah.
But they anyway. So they but they pled to like a lesser charge, and it's actually been expunged from their records.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that is good. Um, but it cost them the store, and it cost. I mean,
You can sue somebody out of existence, basically. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that. Yeah, and again, they weren't being
Fairly
sued.
easily.
They weren't being sued. They were facing criminal, but as a result of that, they lost their lease
Hmm.
because and there was some kind of clause in their lease, and it just so happened the industry was kind of coming down off the big comics boom.
Hmm.
They had distributor problems because and they had to move, and the place they moved to was not near. They had a great location,
Hmm.
and the place they moved to was not near as readily accessible as their other place, and it just kind of Mike Kennedy ended up getting a divorce out of it.
Mm.
I don't know if it was exactly what that. I don't know all about that. I don't know if I ever met his wife, but he ended up moving to Tulsa, and it was a bad deal.
Bad time
Uh,
for him. Yeah.
oh yeah, you know, uh, and and I tell you, if somebody's interested in comic books and this kind of thing, there's a great documentary on Amazon called I can't think of the name. It was about Mike Diana, who was the artist. Man, talk about a guy that was persecuted by the legal system. He was an artist. He did a comic book called Boiled Angel, and
Hmm.
it literally was like a terrible fanzine, just something he did. And a guy in California got arrested with a copy of it, not for that, like on a drug charge or something. And they, in his car, there were drugs or something, and they saw it. That they confiscated his car, and they looked at the contents of his car, and they found the comic book, and they're like, "What in the world is this?"
Yeah.
And
Blew their minds in
it
law
had
enforcement.
his it had well, I've seen it. It's some pretty raunchy stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, but they sent a copy of it to the DA. It had his address in it. If you want to order issue 7, write to Mike Diana in Gainesville, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So they sent it to the DA in Florida and said, you may want to look at this. And it so happened that some of the stuff he depicted in his comic, which is like people being murdered and bound up and tortured,
Mm-hmm.
was identical to some crime that had happened. And so they actually the police actually talked to him, and they were like, how do you know about this? That kind of thing.
Huh. It
And
does sound like a good documentary.
it's a good documentary. I wish I remember the name of it. I think if you look for Mike Diana, you should be able to find it on
Okay, I'll look
Amazon
at that.
Prime. I think it's pretty good. His art is terrible, but that's the thing is like they basically well. What's interesting is the judge said he can't draw. He can't. They basically said you're not allowed to draw comics, and which is like, how can you say that to somebody? And he ended up moving to New York, and he wasn't supposed to like own drawing implements or anything like that. And so he moved to New York, and his parole officer up there basically didn't care. And
Yeah.
it was like, yeah. And so he just started drawing. He started doing all these art shows, and he actually was much more successful as
Yeah.
kind of doing fine art than he ever was doing comic books.
Yeah, I see his stuff right here. It says Boiled Angel #1, strange and eerie comics for cool people.
Yeah.
This blue demonic looking character is boiling somebody's head in your typical cannibal pot. And it's got a victim that's all tied up on the floor waiting to be next. It looks pretty sick.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, but here's the thing, and this goes for anything. If you only support, and I mean, by support I mean in a free speech kind of way. If you only believe in free speech for the speech that you like, then you do not believe in free speech. If your thing is they can't get away with doing that, we must shut them down, then you don't believe in free speech.
Well, right
period.
now we're in the midst of just like purging everybody that isn't politically correct.
Right.
I mean, is it? You think the special is called "Boiled Angels: The Trial of Mike Diana"?
Yes, I bet it is.
Yeah.
Did you find it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch that.
I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah, probably. It'd be offbeat enough and be something different. Yeah.
Well, the story, what happened to him is pretty horrific. I mean,
they brutalized him, huh? As a guy that just was trying to fishing for laughs, probably as much as anything.
Well, I don't know what drove him to do his comic, but and I think he was a janitor at a school, and he made some copies. That's what I always heard, that he made copies on the school copier. But I don't think that ever came up in the documentary though. So that may not be an actual fact.
It looks like some of the sex stuff that goes on in it is like you don't want to look at this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's it's not my cup of tea, but
yeah, exactly.
But again, I don't think the guy should be persecuted for.
No, that's the deal though. Conservatives are that way. They'll say, but I don't think you should have to suffer for your weird beliefs, and we're that way. And then we learned that the guys with most of the weird beliefs don't want to hear anything about people that believe in marriage and two genders and all that. All of a sudden, they're on the run because the intolerance has shifted. Who's got the whip hand?
Yep, that's all it's about. Well, what do they say? History is written by the winners. I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
But
people were warning ages ago. Says, if you let them do this, they'll be doing this before long. And everybody was like, oh, no, no, no. And then it's
Yeah.
become like 10 times worse than all of those warnings that they would be up to in terms of like stuff,
Yeah. Yeah. We'll leave it generic stuff.
stuff. Hey, it is 1 minute, 1 hour 15. So I guess we're
Oh,
done,
okay.
huh? Much longer.
Yeah.
You got a lot of work done. I like that girl, but I'd rather her arm came out.
Yeah. I'm not
Uh,
crazy. I think her head's a little big, and I don't
no,
like.
yeah, maybe, but that's all right.
I need to work
You
on
aren't
it.
you aren't having to do it on model for any reason. Yeah.
No, no, no. But yeah. This is just an exercise.
Hmm.
You know, I bought this paper. So this is
Yeah.
copier paper, but it's heavy copier paper. It's about like an index card.
As long as it's not toothy and blottery. Well, I mean,
No,
you probably can't ink it very well.
no, no, no.
I would
I'm not.
guess.
I'm not going to ink this. But here's the thing: when Office Max went out of business, I bought a ream of this stuff, and I've used it. And I for a long time I used it for all my comic samples, and I had some of it left, and so I thought, well, I'm gonna draw this on that.
Hmm.
And so I've been doing it, and it took me a while to get used to working on it because it's not like Bristol board. It's not slick. It's
Hmm.
got a little bit of tooth to it. So I
Yeah.
had to use a little harder pencil and a little bit carefuler line. But
That 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 down shot, the guy coming into the thing is a really nice bit of volume. It works really well. I can tell from here.
no, good. All I want is I just want a couple of cool looking pages.
Yeah.
I think I've got about 10 pages of this paper left. I'm gonna work on it, and well, I just want to stay busy, and then maybe. So my idea is I want to create a character that can exist in the Heaven's Reject world, but he's going
Hmm.
to be kind of like a Kolchak the Night Stalker kind of guy, but he's going to be in New Orleans.
Cool.
So you know
That'll be cool. You love
that's
New
my
Orleans.
idea. I love New Orleans, and I think there's enough. And if it comes off good, I may pitch it as a backup in the trade, or
Cool.
something. That's an
Hmm.
idea. But anyway, okay, I'm gonna let you go, Ellis.
Okay. Did you want to plug anything especially, or just say bye bye?
Um, no, no, no. I'll plug stuff. Well, first off, thanks anybody that watches this. I know we have a few loyal viewers. I appreciate that. And I don't know who's watching. If Nasser is watching, I'm going to send you an email after this. So you'll get an
Try
email.
to hook you up with the Boiled Angels artist. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, no, no. I'm gonna send you an email. I don't have. Anyway, I'll send you an email. The if you like my art, check out my website, scottsackett.org. If you enjoy watching this YouTube, I am trying to pump up numbers in my YouTube. I'm going to do some reviews of stuff. I'm going to talk about some stuff. I want to do a kind of a review slash tutorial based on the Marvel, how to draw comics the Marvel way.
Hmm.
Uh, and so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm trying to pump up my numbers. If I get my numbers up, I may do like some live drawing.
Gene Hole, as the last thing he gave us, was a big thumbs up for
Awesome.
his comments. He may have been the only guy listening tonight. I didn't notice how many
No, there
people
were
may have
no, no,
been
no.
listening.
I looked one time and there's like 4 people.
Oh,
So
okay, cool.
anyway,
Tasha International. Okay, well, we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye bye.
bye.